YouTubers. We're just randomly bullshitting about stuff. We're talking about prisoners. And say, for instance, we find a place like this, and we're going to camp out here. We know there's water here. We know there's game that are coming down here because of the footprints. And we might want to bug out and hide, or maybe even put up just a blind for hunting up here in the bush somewhere. But what happens if you're sitting here and you're waiting for cattle, javelina, maybe a rabbit, ducks to hit the water, or whatever? Maybe you got a fishing pole here and you hear somebody stumbling across this landscape, or maybe 2 or 3 people. What do you do? What do you do with prisoners or people? Which is what we're kind of discussing. You know, do you shoot them? Do you grab them for intelligence? If you do, are they going to lie to you? I mean, what do you do? It's a great subject to discuss. Like TCP came up, you know, I'm talking about like a single dude or just like a lone person walking through the desert. But he came up with like, what if there's a family or, you know, a guy or a couple of people, 3 or 4 people? What are you going to do with those people?
Yeah, because like one option is you just remain hidden and hope that they kind of look around and move on. That could come back to haunt you later if they backtrack and they are bad people and you let them go.
Say they like your area and they're just a scout, and they say, you know, they go back to their base and they go, hey, I found water, I found a great place to camp. Now what do? You know, you got a couple of people that just roamed by and you let them go, and all of a sudden now you've got 20 people coming in there. Are you going to be able to fight them? You know, how are you going to defend your shit if you had to bug out? Now, this is completely if you had to bug out. But what do you do with these kind of people? How are you going to handle that?
Yeah, because like I say, it's one person, and you decide to confront them. You're going to have to basically take them into custody, disarm them.
You have your handcuffs?
Restrain them, and interrogate them, and then use discernment to, is this person lying to me? Is this person honest? Is this person scared? Is this person scouting for other people? Is he really all by himself? Do they have some usable skills? It could be a master electrician, a carpenter, a doctor, a paramedic. You could be someone that could be very valuable, but you're going to have to decide, is this person credible? Are they honest? And what if you find out you don't believe their story and you think they're full of shit and they're up to nefarious things? They were looking to scavenge your stuff. Now what do you do with them? You can't really let them go at that point unless you plan on also moving, because they know where you're at. You can't just set them free.
No.
Are you going to, you know, take them a mile or 2 away and tie them to a tree? And
no.
Are you going to execute them? I mean, yeah. What do you have the stomach for?
That's a very interesting subject right in and of itself, is that you're going to have to take a person. If you took a person that came walking through your camp, or maybe say 2 or 3 people, and you took them into custody, and you don't believe them,
they're your responsibility. As soon as you take somebody into custody, they're your responsibility.
Yep.
So from that point on, you have a lot of choices to make.
You're going to house them, you're going to feed them, you're going to keep them sheltered, or you're just going to let them sit out there in the elements and, you know, do whatever. And that's up to you, and that depends on what you've got as far as gear, security, other people to watch them.
Yeah, because you got to sleep at some point. What are you going to do with those people?
Yeah, you take a prisoner? Really? Not. Yeah, you got to sleep for sure.
You got to sleep, and you, like I said, if they escape, is it just one person who's just going to run as far away from you as they can possibly get, or do they have other people that they can go to and say, hey, I know You know, there's a couple of people, there's water, they've got guns, that, you know. Again, you've got to sleep at some point, and you're going to have a lot to worry about. Do you want multiple people now knowing where you're at and probably coming for you? Do you want that on top of everything else that you're dealing with? Or
Absolutely.
do you solve the problem quickly and painlessly? And can you live with that? And is that something that you think you could muster up the courage to take another human being's life?
And
not because they're physically trying to, you know, shoot at you and kill you, and that's fine, that's self-defense. But you're sort of like assuming that maybe if you let them go, things could go south. You're not totally sure, but there's a chance. Can you justify taking a life on a hunch?
yeah, could you murder somebody for survival? And check this out, dudes. You may not be able to do it. You shouldn't do it. If you can do it without using a bullet and a firearm, you're going to have to get down and dirty and use a knife. You know, or whatever. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to have to do something that is quiet. Okay?
I could tell you how to take somebody out in like 1 second, guaranteed, no pain, but my guess is YouTube would probably frown on that. So, but I agree, you should not shoot them because A, it's noise, and you know, and B, you are going to want to conserve your ammunition. So you don't want to draw attention to yourself. You don't want to waste ammo.
No.
Even though it's a bullet, it's going to be messy too. There's a lot you got to think of. Now what are you going to do with the body? I mean, it gets. There's a lot of like not only moral and ethical questions to answer. Could you do this? Could you live with it after the fact?
Could you do it?
But if you do it, there's a cleanup process afterward. You don't just leave them laying there in your camp.
It's a brutal, hard concept to think about, but it is something that you have to think about. And you know what? I guarantee you, a lot of us preppers are not thinking about this kind of shit. You know,
yeah, the ugly side of it.
The more I learn, and the more I'm with TCP, and the more we get out here in our areas and figure out what's going on, the more things that come up. What if? What if this? What if that? What if something else? What are you going to do with these people?
I think the best thing to do would be to hide and observe.
Your bug out location should allow you to be able to observe without being seen.
Yeah, it might be best just to stay hidden, kind of observe, see what they're doing. You can tell if they're up to no good, if they're, you know, rummaging through your stuff, or they look like they're ne'er-do-wells.
If they're coming through here just grabbing a drink of water and they're leaving, let them go. You know, use your moral compass.
Like yesterday, when I went down to the cattle tank, I was, you know, a good 1.5 miles away, and I was armed and everything, but I was out in the middle of the desert, basically alone. And if I'd come across 3 guys, or suddenly 3 ATVs just pulled up on me, you know, yesterday it would have been nothing, but in a world without rule of law, shit hits the fan, everybody's desperate, everybody's looking for something, and 3 guys came up, man, I'm just walking out in the desert, just da-da-da, and all of a sudden, boom, there's these people there. You know, what do you do? It's 1-on-3.
They would have stole his shit, they would have grabbed his weapons, and if he was lucky, they would have let him just go wander out through the desert. But in general, they're probably going to shoot him so that he doesn't tell anybody else where he was just at.
I was alone, but I actually had some stuff on me that most people would be more than happy to have taken from me.
Total score.
I was a gold mine walking alone through the desert. And on my way to the cattle tank yesterday, I was wearing a earpiece with hands-free, so it was, when Mike called me, only I could hear it. On the way back, I unplugged it because the earpiece sucked. So when he called me or whatever, it came out over the speaker.
Yeah.
But I was aware the whole time, and I kept the volume really low. Before I went and headed out, we synchronized our watches, and then we took this red marker here and we set it, let's see, okay.
Just get your turn.
So we'll say 40 after. So you move this, it doesn't move real well. So when the minute hand gets to the red, I checked in, or he would check in with me, and then we would agree, you know, 10 minutes or whatever, I'd move it up here. That way you can continue to do whatever you're doing and then just glance at your watch every once in a while, and when it's on the red mark, you check in. And so that's how we were doing it yesterday. I wanted to talk a little bit about my walk back yesterday. I didn't film very much of it, but I learned and realized some things about how easy people can get lost and confused. The desert's a little different because if you get elevated, you can see a lot of area, but it all looks exactly the same. If you're in an area with like forests, mountainous regions or whatever, even if you get elevated, all you're going to see are treetops. It's very easy to get lost if you don't know your area like the back of your hand. You have to know it so well that if somebody, drops you out in the middle of nowhere and spins you around and takes the blindfold off, you can figure out where you're at and which way you need to go. And I realized yesterday when I was walking through the desert that I got up on a couple of peaks and looked around. I was like, wow, if you did not know where you were at, you could get screwed out there quick. I was in these hills right
Over here, you've got to walk all this way.
I went basically what I did was I went all these hills here, and then it flattens out. There's a wash. I followed this a little bit, and then
I think he went way over here.
And I went back up into these hills, and these hills are a lot higher than they look on this map. And at one point, I was on a peak up here, and I knew Camp Contingency was that way.
Well, you can see the campground. You can see the campers over here.
But he couldn't hear when I fired a gun from here. So I asked him on the radio when I was I was probably up in one of these hills in here somewhere. I said, hey, can you shoot your gun? And so he's over here, and I'm in here somewhere. And if I'd have been walking and, crunching, I wouldn't have heard it. But I stood up on
I stood still,
and I listened, and I heard the gunshot, and I could tell the direction it came from, but it was very faint. It was weird. I think I had him do it another time later.
Yeah, I shot 2 more rounds, so he could hear it.
If I hadn't stopped and listened for it and knew that it was coming, I would have missed it. It didn't, because out there it's so flat and there's so much space that when the shot goes off, the sound goes like this, like 360 degrees. It's not, it's not directing the sound at you.
It's not close enough.
It's going everywhere, so it disperses fast. And so I heard it. I knew where he was at initially, and I knew that I was way east of him because of the crazy path I took. And I'm one of those people that I have like a built-in compass. Like I know north. I always know where north is. You put me somewhere I've never been and spin me around, and I'll tell you where north is.
He's got a great moral compass for sure.
I just know where north is, and so I knew just by going north I would hit that pipeline road. And I think when I did, I came in about probably 500 yards east of Camp Contingency, which is pretty close. But when I went yesterday, I zigzagged all through this. I was going up and down and around and around and up. And then I got up on these peaks here, and I could actually see there were some RVs parked up here. I could see them.
Yeah, I think it was up in here somewhere, and you could see the RVs that were parked up in here.
But these gullies, you're up high, and then you go. There were times where I was sidestepping because it was a steep, straight down, where you'd fall. And if you fall out there, you're double fucked.
Oh, dude!
You break a leg up on, falling down one of these peaks into the wash, and you're screwed. But I finally got to, I think, this wash here, and just followed it up. And this is this looks like a road, but it's not. It's not. It's weird.
You preppers, some of you do. But if you don't have a bug out location, your bug out location is just as important as your bug in location. You know every inch of your house, right? You know every inch of your yard. Hopefully you know every inch of your neighborhood. Who's got swimming pools? Who's going to be there when they open up the FEMA camps? Who's bailing?
And we've already done aerial.
We know where every swimming pool is in this neighborhood.
We know where the solar panels are on the roof.
Yep, solar panels.
If we need to appropriate some solar panels or some pool water, we know which houses have both. So it's something that you want to consider. We've also there's some man-made little lakes for landscaping around us. We know where those are. Yeah, and you're going to have so much on your plate and shit hits a fan. Getting lost is not something you want to add to.
It's not what you want to learn, right? Back, when shit hits a fan and you had to bug out, you don't want to learn all this shit. You better practice it now and get used to it.
Yeah, that's why I took the weird route back yesterday, is because it's like I've walked the wash method
Right.
dozens of times.
Know
It's
the
like,
wash.
but I wanna get back to Camp Contingency by just like going like just heading straight out into the desert, and so that's what I did.
And then, I actually called him. I went up on top of the hill because I called him, and I wasn't getting a response. So I went up on top of the hill to see if I could see him, and I didn't see him.
You're not gonna
And
see
I
it.
didn't get a reply back at first.
The battery came off my radio. It was like I don't know if I had like
It has a little hook.
it didn't it
Clip
wasn't
right here,
snapped
it
in
just
real
didn't
well,
snap in.
and it separated, and I didn't know for like probably 20 minutes or so or more. My radio was off. It had no power.
Yeah, that sucked.
Because I pulled it out and looked at it, and it was like this. I was like, the battery couldn't have died, could it? And I turned it on and off, and it was like it wasn't doing anything. And I popped the bottom of it and snapped it back on, and it came right on. So little things can really screw your day up. Like
Definitely.
the front foregrip on my AR fell off at one point as I was going through all this shit, and all of a sudden wouldn't have known it, except it hit my like leg on the way down, and I was like, what hit? And I looked, and my foregrip's laying there. I was like, I'm not gonna like take all this shit off, put it back on. So I was carrying that in one hand. I took the radio and held it from that point on because I didn't want the battery to slip off again. So I'm walking through the desert with my hands full, all kinds of shit on, going up and down these washes, going around cactus. And it got to a point, and I knew he was making dinner, and I was getting hungry, and so at some point I just picked up the pace.
The ribeye rocked, by the way.
It was awesome.
The big
that
piece.
Dakota Firehole, I'll tell you
That
what.
was fucking great. You saw the chair, it fucking caught like instantly. That fucking Dakota Firehole puts out a lot of heat. It was awesome.
I filmed like the steaks when he first put them on there, and then we heard these cows, and they sounded really close, so I was like, I'm gonna go check these cows out. So I walked across the wash, and I went up, I was like 100 yards from the camp, and I was looking for these cows, and I hear him yell, hurry up, get back, your steak's getting cold. I'm like, how in the hell? Those Dakota Fireholes, they cook fast.
Quick.
So
Very quickly.
If you ever make one and you decide to cook on it, don't leave it unattended, because your shit will be a charbroiled briquette quick. I mean, you keep an eye on them.
I had to put the can of beans off to the side because they were just boiling away.
Yeah, those Dakota Fireholes are amazing.
They concentrate that heat in a small little area. I think it was a 1 foot or so hole, and it's a concentrated freaking blast furnace.
It is. It's a
basically.
blast furnace. It cooks your food quick. So, if you ever cook on a Dakota Firehole, keep an eye on it. And
Totally.
Speaking of which, I want to show you something.
Yay. Well, I got
It's
two of them.
more like the
I upgraded,
the emotional attachment I had to
I
that
know.
chair.
Oh, that chair's been with him forever.
I love that chair. It's got the built-in cooler that I only ever used to like stick things in, and I didn't use it to cool anything. But it was nice knowing it was there. Yeah, they go up quickly. Apparently, they're not fire retardant. So
Well, you can see the quality of the heat coming out of the fire hole.
yeah, it's
So all
hot.
that thing did was like flip over, and it's like 3 seconds later, it was just in fucking flame. It was melted. That fucking fire hole was so hot.
Yeah. So another endorsement to Dakota Firehole. They're amazing. But they burn hot, so be careful. And we're using desert wood. I mean, if you're in like the woods and you have some really like
Stuff that's gonna burn
if
a
you
long
had, like,
time?
cedar or something, you're gonna get a kiln going basically.
Oh shit. True. Totally.
If you had some solid
You could
wood,
do some pottery out there if you
yeah,
wanted
I mean,
to.
those things are amazing. So if you had quality wood, you'd be yeah, you could like make bowls.
I know I was having a hard time doing the Kershaw Camp 10 because like everything you just grab, you can just snap right off. It was so dry and brittle out there. I had a hard time finding wood.
But, if we can make a Dakota Firehole with that wood that makes a steak in like 4 minutes,
Yeah.
most of you are gonna have some really nice fires with that stuff.
And another takeaway, the cache site was completely unmolested except by a bunch of cows.
Yeah, there were hoof prints over the top of it, so that was a
And they're
really good
about
sign.
maybe 3 inches deep. We packed everything pretty good, so we put a foot or two on, we packed it down, and put another couple of foot, whatever. We kept
The
filling
cattle compacted it even better. That cache site is
Yeah.
locked down nice.
Yeah. And you know what was funny was there was at least one 9mm. I didn't really look around, but there was a 9mm shell casing out there that somebody had been shooting.
It could have been one of ours.
I don't think we shot there.
Well, we remember we shot those little clay pigeons that were on the things.
Yeah, but I don't think they went. Our guns go off to the other side. I don't think they went over there. I think somebody.
Maybe sappers fired over straight around.
Maybe.
I don't know. It could have been somebody else, but
regardless,
there were 3 of us out there shooting 9mm the last.
Yeah,
time.
nobody. That site is completely unmolested. It's there, it's solid, completely camouflaged, and very happy about that because our shit didn't get dug up, and it's going to be there until we actually need it. So I'm happy.
Yeah, and I think
very happy.
Today's the 30th.
Yep.
Nick Makes Preps will be here in 20 days.
Yep.
So less than 3 weeks. 3 weeks from yesterday. Nick will be here, and I asked him today, texted him and said, what do you want to do? And he's like, Camp Contingency. So we're going back out there.
We're going to take Nick out there, maybe his mom.
We'll be out there in 3 weeks to probably mostly just going to shoot because I think he wants to do some planting. I think he's going to bring some seeds with him. He knows way more about that than we ever will. So
I don't think he's ever shot an AR, has he?
Probably not.
No. So we'll set up a steel plate at 100 yards, do an easy shot, maybe do some pistol work. We might set up the 3 double tap guys just to let him get an experience of it. His mom's going to do a marathon. They're going to do the rock and roll marathon or something out in Tempe on January 20th. It's been out for a long time, so she's going to participate in that. So she might go shooting. Hopefully she does.
I don't know if she'll be with us or not, but so Nick Makes Preps will be with us on 3 weeks from yesterday. We'll be back out of Camp Contingency, and we will be shooting, and I'm guessing maybe planting some stuff. And I don't know if he's going to want to go to the cattle pond. I mean, like I said, the way I always look at it when a visitor, like when prepping stuff,
whatever they want to do.
It's whatever they want to do. They're the ones that are coming here. We can.
They're our guest.
Yeah, we go out whenever we can. So, and we've done pretty much everything we want to do out there. So, if you visit and you want to go out there, it's up to you. If you want to just shoot the whole time, if you want to go on a night walk, if you want to go to the cattle tank, if you want, whatever you want to do. So, whatever Nick wants, Nick, if you're listening.
Yeah. If you watch this, Nick.
If you want to do one of the night walk, it gets early or dark. Early.
And it's cold as fuck right now, so.
Yeah, bring some. It gets cold in the desert at night, but if you want to walk to the cattle tank in the daytime, like yesterday, we can do that. If you want to go walk the cattle tank and go down there at night and walk through the desert, we can do that. If you want to not do that at all and just shoot and plant stuff, we can do that. Whatever you want to do, just let us know.
You guys that are watching this, if you have questions, I would like to do a fireside chat. So if you got some questions you want to throw our way,
yes,
please do.
Email either one of us and just put in the subject like fireside chat.
Yep.
And it'll be Jackhammer Mike, myself, and Nick Makes Preps, and he does like botany and horticulture. He's a plant guy. So any questions you can ask us about firearms, prepping, plants, edibles, or just like random,
bullshit,
how
whatever.
tall are you guys, or like just anything. Like
whatever you want.
Bob Barker comes up with some good like ethical type stuff, and like his if you could eat dinner with anybody from history, not including Jesus, like who would it be? Anything like that. Those people like seeing like really random weird questions. Manny, don't ask me about the flutter.
Yeah, Manny.
I don't want to get into the flutter. It's flat. Okay, there you go.
That's what he says.
It's flat, but. I'm not going to get into the reasons why I know it's flat, so do your own research on that. But if you want to ask us about pretty much anything else, go for it.
Max the Pirate Dog and I don't care whether it's flat or not.
Max says
it's just where it is.
He knows it's flat.
Hi, Max.
Max the flat earth dog.
I know.
He didn't want you to know.
You're a good boy.
I thought you'd be disappointed in
You don't care. As long as it got my food. Where's my bones, dude? Send me marrow bones, peeps. My master doesn't feed me. I'm starving. Feed me marrow bones.
So anyway, I think we might do another maybe video on that radio thing. Make it quick, because I didn't know we were going to talk about all this shit.
The radios rocked. They just totally rocked.
Those things are fantastic. Like I said,
we got good comms out there.
Like I said, even if I had gotten lost out there, I knew I had the radio and You know,
Yep.
so they're invaluable, and the quality was actually better than I
Astounding.
expected. I knew we'd be able to communicate from the cattle tank, but I mean it was, and even with the FRS, FSR, whatever the hell they are.
Family Radio FRS. Family Radio
or,
Services.
Or is it Family Service Radio?
Family Radio Services. They're just like dinky, your fucking Walmart radios. Folks.
Those were crystal clear from 1.5 miles. So.
Yep. If you program them right.
But here's the thing: if you don't have FRS, FSRs already, I wouldn't bother getting them. I would get hams.
Yep.
Because like, if you've already got them, that's great. But then if you get the hams, you can program them so that they can all talk to each other, which is even better. Yeah.
Cool.
That's all I have.
That's all we got. Thanks. We're out.